A federal judge is staying on the bench tonight despite an affair with a high-ranking police officer that investigators say included sex in the judge's chambers during business hours. The judge in question initially denied those allegations, then later admitted to the relationship. Atlanta News First Doug Reardon is live tonight at the 11th Judicial Court. Doug, we know all this from court documents.
Yeah, we do, Blair, and those court documents show that over the course of a roughly 3-year relationship, that some of the clerks inside the building, even some of the other employees, could actually hear this going on. An attorney that we talked to says what is really concerning here, though, aren't those salacious allegations. It's more so the dishonesty.
The credibility is the most important thing for the jurist.
Attorney Musa Ghanayem was surprised to learn about the troubling allegations involving an Atlanta-based circuit court judge. A judicial council decided that judge would receive a, quote, private reprimand for engaging in an affair with a sworn police officer inside her judge's chambers. Court documents show employees reported hearing the sexual encounters on more than one occasion. Ghanayem says the salacious nature of the case isn't as disturbing as what the report also claims, that the judge initially lied about the allegations.
If you have a judge who engages in that kind of conduct in the courthouse during business hours and then gives false statements when confronted about it, that person has demonstrated the very thing that this judicial committee had already found, that there was a gross lack of judgment. And, she's a judge.
Atlanta News First has not been able to independently confirm the identities of the judge or the officer, but the Atlanta Police Department told us they are opening an investigation to see if the officer named in the report works for them. Federal judges enjoy lifetime appointments, often shielding them from public scrutiny when ethical issues arise.
When you have a lifetime appointment, you're able to avoid any sort of public and any sort of private scrutiny. And that's something that's very important. And I think this is just another example of why we have to revisit that.
And those court documents also show that the judge was separately reprimanded for attending a partisan event for a district attorney candidate. We're in downtown Atlanta. Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.